What up, pressure washers? So this may be a short live here tonight. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I'm Jason Guyman here with PressureWashHelp.com, and my question is are you going to grow a pressure washing business this year, or are you going to grow a pressure washing business? And what I mean by grow a pressure washing business, are you going to make more money than you did last year? And how are you going to do that? Like again, I said, this is going to be a short one. I am at the firehouse, so if I get a call, I will be ending this and moving on. So if you have any questions, please ask. What's up, Brian? So this is a great time of year to look back to see what we've done in the past if you haven't started one. And if you have started a pressure washing business, or if you haven't started a pressure washing business, this is a great time to try to plan for next year. 2020 will be a great year to start a pressure washing business. And if you're going to start, now is the time to start planning. We need to make sure that we can plan to my second live starting in spring, and thanks for recommending that. That is right. Um, um, Hello, Vernon from Alabama. But we want to make sure that we have a plan in place of making sure that we have all our equipment ready to go by March, making sure that we have some marketing ready to go by March, and everything is in a way so that way when spring comes, we will be ready to start making money. And if we're ready to grow, then we kind of know our numbers, and we can look at last year's numbers and see kind of what we need to do. So obviously, I push marketing hard. I think marketing is probably the most important thing out there. If we can't get jobs, we can't. Congratulations on having a baby, Mike. So we got to make sure that we are able to get it going, and marketing is very important. And we don't want to start marketing in April. We want to start doing some of that stuff now, so that way we will be ready to go when we are ready in spring. So, and even if we're growing, we want to make sure that we are, marketing maybe in February and March and April. And it depends on your weather. Some places you're going to be able to do some marketing beforehand, and some places you won't. So that is that. So if you have any questions, please ask them, and I will answer some of them, and then we'll go from there. Hey, Michael. Hey, Auto Detailing from Oakland, Maryland. So I think I had, let's see, I'm going to go through here. My second live starting in the spring. Thank you for recommending Profit First. Profit First is a great book to go start. If you are just starting a pressure washing business, I would highly, highly recommend reading Profit First. It is probably one of the most important things you can do right now, so that way your business will start off on a positive profit first business versus a business that's going to suck everything out of you and you still don't make no profits. So Profit First is a great book. When you read Profit First and you put those things into play, you will be making money from day one versus putting a bunch of money into it and not making any money at all. And the problem with that prop theory of just putting a bunch of money into it and not making any money at all is when do you figure out when you change over to go profit? So if you started out going from profit in the first, in the end, it will be a best anything with that. Any other good reads I can devour? I like. There's a good book out. It's called Superfans. It's by Pat Flynn, and he kind of goes over how to do marketing with how to get superfans is a good read. But definitely, it's a little bit more for once you start getting more customers and getting those people really pushing you to do your work and that kind of stuff. But Superfans is another good book to read also. But that is two books. And I'm not a book reader. I listen to them. I hate reading books, to be honest with you. I read marketing stuff, and that's about all I read. I do read some fire stuff because I'm getting ready to take my captain's promotion test. But other than that, I hate reading. So when we read, that is audible all the way. Exactly. You know, you can put your earbuds in while you're cleaning, and you can listen or while you're driving. That is definitely the case. All right, let me see here who we got in the house. So Mike says he's having a baby, so congratulations. I had the city tell me to take my signs down, and that can be happen. We've had that happen. One time we had, we'll tell you a story here. We had some signs. Well, we always put signs up, and one of the guys calls, and he's like, "I'm the mayor of Fort Wright or Park Hills." And we're like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "My name is Mike, whatever his name was." It's like, "Mike, will you leave our signs alone?" We knew who he was. He's like, "You can't leave your signs there." We're just like, "Well, just turn the other way when you're looking at those signs. Don't worry about those signs." But signs can get you in trouble sometimes. You know, you got to watch, you know, some places don't allow you to do that. What Audible ebooks are you talking about? Profit First is one, and then the other one is uh, Profit First is one, and its author is Mike Kalawazinski, and then the other one is Pat Flynn by it's Super Fans by Pat Flynn. But yeah, going back to the yard signs, you know, you just kind of gotta, you know, like I was saying, DJ, my buddy DJ here, there was one city that don't allow him to do it. So guess what? You don't put it in that one city. You put them everywhere else. You put them all the way around the outside of that city, and that way you can do it. Are all brands of tanks equal? Are there any brands I should avoid? So tanks can be a little bit. Here's the deal with tanks. A lot of people just put regular tanks in there. By technicality, if you're using it for a soap tank, it's not allowed to have a bunghole at the bottom of it. It's supposed to only come out of the top, and that is so if they leak. So some tanks, you know, I've used all different kinds of tanks. You know, I've used the ones you're supposed to use, ones you're not supposed to really use, and you know, as long as you know, even the bunghole, you can change out the O-ring on the inside of it, and that will allow the bulkhead fitting, and that way it will allow you to. That way it won't eat up that rubber and make it not work right. So, and that's how that works. Yeah, some association rules against sign. The only thing about associations, they're not going to give you a ticket. They're just going to they're usually going to throw them away and get mad at you. We had one, we put it up and he took it down. We put it up and he called. He's like, "Will you quit putting your sign up there?" And we're like, "Well, will you quit taking it down? It's across the street from your association. It ain't even on your sign." And he was kind of a real jackleg. But you know what? There's plenty of other places to put signs. You don't have to put them in that area. Um, let's see. Any other questions here? Flyer first, thanks. Um, my friend is a fireman. His pressure washing company is called Off Duty Fireman. He makes 5 times more money because people want to hire an off duty fireman. Yes, that you can use being a fireman. There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of firefighters that do this business right here. And the reason why it is most firefighters are a type A personality. So they already have the mentality of being a leader. And you kind of got to have that mentality to be a leader, you know. Um, and that's why a lot of times in the firehouses people clash because everybody wants to be the boss, you know. But you got to have some Indians, but you can't have all chiefs. You do have to have some Indians. But most of the people in the firehouses are a type A personality. So the other great thing about a fireman is we work 24 on and off 48. So this is a great way that people can make extra money. You know, as a fireman, I thought firemen overpaid. Well, I'm definitely not overpaid, or I wouldn't be here. And that's not the case at all. And even if firemen are making 100 grand a year, there's a lot of information that a fireman's got to know. A fireman's got to know everything from pumps, and that's the other thing. A lot of the stuff we do as firemen, we do it in pressure washing. So, you got to know pumps, you got to know friction loss, you got to know everything there is about cars, you got to know everything there is about houses, you got to know everything there is about human bodies, you got to know everything there is about environment. And so guess what? So pressure washing goes the same way, because you know what? You got to know what there is about the house. You got to know what type of siding you're dealing with, whether it's aluminum or vinyl, or what type of stain you're dealing with. And guess what else we deal with firemen? We got to know the pH scale, because we deal with hazmat situations. When we deal with these hazmat situations, we got to know that kind of stuff. So we have to know all this information. And a lot of this information goes with pressure washing. Guess what? When pressure washing, we got to know the pH scale. We got to know everything about, is it an acid? Is it a base? What type of stain is it? What do we need to get rid of that stain? With the pressure washing, what type of pressure were you dealing with? Why are we losing, friction loss? All that great stuff. So, it is one of those things that this job, a lot of firemen become very successful pressure washers. I know personally a lot of firemen that have quit their fireman job and went pressure washing full time because they made enough money to replace the income, replace, a lot of the firemen now, back in when I started, I'm in the good pension system. I can retire in 20, I can go at 20 years. It gives me my health insurance, the whole 9 yards. People starting, a year after me, all that went bye-bye. So that's why people leave this job to go do that. This job is very mental. Pressure washing is very satisfying. So, all right, I'm gonna get off my pat. I seen some questions here. What are your thoughts about the companies that you pay like $8 to hit the blogs and up your SEO? I heard Google doesn't like it, but have also been told, don't worry about it. That is called a black hat trick. And black hat tricks, Google is very smart. Google knows you're going to pay that person $8 to do whatever you're trying to do there. So don't do black hat tricks. If it's black hat, don't do it. And what I mean by black hat is back in the day, you could get up very high in the search rank by just putting certain things out there. Like if you put so many keywords, so people would actually put keywords in white. So they would have 500 keywords saying pressure washing, and you would show up number one. Well, guess what? Google found out, Google spanked those people, and they went bye-bye because you can't do that stuff. If you're going to write blogs, that's fine. You can write blogs. You can pay people to write your blogs, but make sure they're using Copyscape so that they're not copying it and it's not something copied. And that way, you can write your blogs, and that will help you. That will help you get in ranking. And the other thing we need to do, buy links. Don't buy links to a point. When I mean don't go buy links, don't go to Fiverr and say I want 1,000 links, because they can hook you up to 1,000 different sites, and Google knows that, and Google will knock you down. Now, what the thing you can do is say that your local church is having an auction or something, and will put your name on the website if you donate money. Go donate some money, and that local link coming to your website will actually help you out better than those 1,000 other links going out. Or maybe you work with other businesses, and you've got other businesses that you work with, and you can link to them, and they can link back to you, or try to get them to link to you. Maybe they do something that that way you can work something out. There's all kinds of ways to get good links. Don't go out there on Fiverr. Don't go out there and buy 100 links, because they will nail you hard. They will knock you to the ground, and they'll nail you hard really fast. So this is something that you really got to watch. Let's see here. So that was from Jeremy Olson. I thought firemen were overpaid. I wish we were overpaid. Guess not. Yeah, a lot of calls turn medical. Yes, we do a lot of medical calls. I always tell our guys that we're not firemen, we're really just stretcher fetchers. When you clean roofs without gutters, did you rinse the SH off or leave it up? Leave it up. So this question doesn't really apply to us. I have washed thousands of roofs, and I have maybe had one roof without having gutters because we're in the Cincinnati area and everything has gutters. But what I will tell you is yes, you probably need to. A lot of people that do it will rinse up so far or rinse the whole roof off, and that is so that way that chemical don't just drip off and kill everything when you just let it sit there and quit water and everything. So yes, it is best to rinse that off. Um, let's see. Mike asked plastic. I don't know what that is. Bid it higher. Never rinse. Gotcha. With or without space, pressure, or power. So this goes back to the pressure washing versus power washing. It's honestly when I use Google AdWords, it tells me what people are searching, and honestly, it's pretty daggone close that it's 50-50. It might be one way or the other, and even when I run it in other areas, AdWords, when I run my ads for other people in other areas, it is, it can be 50-50. Some parts of the area might go a little bit harder on pressure, some parts might go on power. So, if you're going to write an article, maybe write one article on power washing and the next article using the pressure washing. So that's how you can do that. What do you think on Yex services? It can be good because they can sit there and get all your citations together right and all that. I never have much luck with them though. It's one of those things you're going to pay a service and you're going to have to pay for it for a long time. It's not something that you can just cancel because then they will, if you do have stuff, it will go away. At least Jay has comfy chairs for his guys. I bet he packs a cooler for them too. Yep, you got that right. There are a lot of cement, fiber, Hardie plank siding homes where I live. Now, do you wash those with SH mixture strength? We do. These you need to be careful with and do test areas. The SH is hitting them hard here lately with Sherman-Williams paint. We use just a regular house wash mix. Don't go strong on it because if you go strong on it, you can kill it. On that again, make sure that when you're doing that test, you're actually looking for two things. We actually had a house this past year, and it wasn't even a year and a half old, and that house had oxidation bad on it. You could wipe your hand, and you could see the oxidation on it. This was a house we actually went in, and we went in there and told them that that this house has oxidation, da 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 da. And the good thing we did because when we were done and when we showed them again, or when they came out and looked, they're like, "Man, that don't look right." We're like, "That's what we're telling you. It had oxidation on it." But you also got to watch that Hardie board too because it can the pigment in the paint with the sodium hypochlorite can make it change colors. And sometimes it can be in just certain areas versus the whole thing. So we really got to be careful on what we do with that paint in our Hardie board. In Hardie board, we really want to do a test area and kind of a no area, so that way if it messes it up, we know that we don't want to be doing that house. What do you use for aluminum metal building facade? I'm thinking, are you talking about the Occubond? I don't know if that's Occubond or aluminum metal building facade. I'm assuming you're talking about Occubond, the kind of the shiny looking stuff. You almost got to use the Occubond. So the only way you can really get that clean is you really need to use that we've had luck with is using the pad. I can't think. This clean pad. I can't think what it's called. But it's a pad, and then basically you're going to hand scrub all of it to make it look good. Sometimes you can use a water-fed pole and rinse it, and that will also make it look good. It just depends on how bad and oxidized it is. If it's really bad and oxidized, you're going to have a whole lot of work in doing that, and it really stinks. All of a sudden, I like Trump. Um, what? Raymond. Hey, Ray. I need to have you on here with me one day. I got a couple people I'm going to bring on here once I get figuring out, not tonight, but what's your thoughts about getting workers' comp insurance early on to be able to go after big jobs? Here's the thing about workers' comp. If you don't have employees, you don't have to have workers' comp. You will have to fill out an affidavit saying that you sign your right, basically, that you will not sue them because you are the owner of the business. If you have employees, then you will need workers' comp. Workers' comp only going to pay if you get hurt as a business owner. Workers' comp ain't going to pay you either because they know you're going to go out of business and you are done. So you cannot get workers' comp covered on the owner of the business. Now, what I did is the business was actually in my wife's name. Since I was doing a lot more out in there, the business was in my wife's name. So then they could cover me under workers' comp. So then that way, if I got hurt, I would get paid workers' comp because the business paid me from my wife. And that made it a minority business too, if you can get it working right. So, and I know where you're going with this, Ray, because I seen somebody was talking about that they got bigger jobs by having workers' comp. Workers' comp is if it's not that expensive because it's not. I mean, you can get like kind of a ghost policy that it covers you and it says you have it, and it may help you get jobs. I'm not going to say it's not going to help you get jobs because then you can say I have workers' comp. Does it mean anything at that point? No, but it does mean that you will be able to show that. And it comes back to being a real business. If we tell our customers if we have workers' comp, I can put scarcity in there of companies that don't have workers' comp. Because here's the issue. If you don't have workers' comp and you go out and you have an employee or a 1097 or 1099 employee, if that employee gets hurt, it's your tail. They can sue you, they can sue the homeowner, and when they sue the homeowner, it will not go under the homeowner's insurance because at that point they made a deal with you, and it's a way that the homeowner insurance can get away with it. So this is a way that you can set yourself apart from other people to say, hey, we got workers' comp and we got general liability. So if we screw up anything, if we fall and get hurt, you will not get sued. You won't get none of that the above stuff. I hope that answered your question. It's just the way it is. Workers' comp is a must for big jobs. But like I say, you do not have to have it if you're the owner. If you're the owner and you do not have employees, you do not have to do it. When we were early in 3-4 years in business before I had employees, only had workers' comp, and we did a lot of big work. I did a whole lot of apartment complexes and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't have it. So, because here's the other thing, in the state of Kentucky, workers' comp is just about daggone near impossible to get it, or you're going to pay an arm and a leg. So that's why I moved my business to Ohio, because Ohio does it through the state, and through the state I was able to get it no problem. Let's see. Wind. Got all kind of questions coming here. I don't have it, and I'm missing out largely. Dante, when you started your business, what did you do to get jobs? I did a lot of yard sign marketing. Me and my wife would go out and we would drive around. I figured out that Friday was a great day to do it. We'd drive around every Friday and put out a lot of yard signs. So my goal for you is to do 25 yard signs a day on Friday. Then the other thing I did is I did BNI. BNI gave me some money. business networking. It helped me deal with people. It helped me learn how to sell. It helped me do a lot of that kind of stuff. It helped me to learn to interact with people because I'm not that type of person. I am more of a hands-on type of person. You give me a task, I will give it done to you. Selling work was not my cup of tea. So I had to learn how to do that. And I did that through BNI. It cost me $600 a year, and I did it for a year. And then, you go and do other things for it. But I made my money back out of that $600. You do spend a lot of time, though. That's the issue with it. So if you're good at selling and you don't worry about that, but referral marketing is a great way to get more business and keep you. The other thing I did is I posted a lot in Facebook groups. I posted a lot in, back in the day, it didn't cost you to post in Craigslist. I didn't do that very often, but I did do it a couple times. And I would post it next door if I was starting a new business and you lived in close enough area for that business. I would start there. But um, yard signs, Facebook groups, and when you're posting in these Facebook groups and house or the other group, don't go in there and just splat out a bunch of blah 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 blah. Here I'm a pressure washer. Here I'm a pressure washer. Here I'm a pressure washer. Go in there and help give information in that groups. When people are asking for, hey, do you know a plumber? Yeah, I know a plumber. This is a great guy. Blah 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 blah. And go down that road like that. Um, let's see here. And like I say, if I get a tone here, guys, I will have to go, but I'm good for now. So, um, let's see. I got a lot of questions tonight. I hope the economy stays like it is, and if it's not, this is a business that, yes, it will hurt people, but if you know how to run a business right, you should be able to do it even in low economy. Um, I know a lot of people started when the economy tanked and they lost their job and they started this, and they actually did. This is how they started. Mike Crisley was one of them. Big fan. I watch all your videos. Thanks for watching them. All of a sudden, I like Trump. In Virginia, you don't need it unless you have 5 or more. Okay, that's good to know. I just say I'm a sole proprietor and sometimes I have a helper. Just starting out, is it a good idea to get commercial accounts, example, Wendy's, McDonald's, etc.? Um, it depends on what kind of business you want. If you want, I mean, that is a good, there's a lot of people that do that type of business model and you go after that, that is one way that you can get a lot of business. It's a great way to get reoccurring money. Yes, are you going to make as much per hour? No, but the lifetime of that customer, you're still going to make a lot of money. You're just going to go there a whole bunch more. Um, in my career of it, we had a few accounts of it. I had a Chick-fil-A and that, but you know what? I don't like working on Sundays. So I was making $400 a month to go work on Sunday, twice a month on Sundays, and I didn't like that. So it wasn't worth my time, that $400. So that's just my personal opinion. But yes, you can. I know a guy that all he does is residential work, 100% residential work, and he's making $400,000 a year. And all he does is residential work. So he does no commercial work at all. So guess what? You can do that too. There's all kinds of ways you can run a business. There's people out there that all they do is commercial. And once you learn how to do commercial and you know how to get those bigger jobs, then you go after that. We do kind of a mixed thing. We kind of got a hybrid thing. We have 1 or 2 trucks that all they do is commercial, and then when the rest of our trucks, all they do is residential and a little bit of commercial. So, you've got to go back and forth of what you're doing there with it. I just say I'm a sole proprietor, just starting. Okay. A ghost policy doesn't cover the only. That's why it's way cheaper. Yeah, it doesn't cover. Yeah, it doesn't cover nothing. There's a ghost policy down on that. Residential all day. The residential brings in commercial work, and you're exactly right. Here's the deal. Here's the difference between commercial and residential. Residential, you will get your money the day or the next day or within a week. Commercial work, you will get your money 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out. So guess what? If you can't sit on having, 100, there was times in AR accounts receivable, we'd be $60,000 that people would owe me. You talk about a headache and a nightmare when it comes to payroll. You know, I got to pay my employees. I got to pay all this stuff, and I got $60,000 that these people are like, I'm not giving you money right now. And guess what? You'd be on the phone collecting money, trying to get money to come in, so that way I could pay my employees and pay them, so that I didn't have to worry about it. So yes, commercial can be good, and commercial are great for these big jobs. But residential, we keeps us going day to day to make sure that we can be able to do those bigger jobs. Um, Michael Williams, you only need it if the customer wants it. Always have workers' compensation, less red tape. S3 Pro. So, what do you think the startup costs are, not including equipment, liability insurance, LLC, and other things we forget about? Um, it's not that expensive, really, if you're not counting equipment. The LLC, like the state of Kentucky and a lot of other places, you can actually do it yourself. It don't cost you. I think it's like a $15 filing fee. You can pay people. I think there's a place that is like LegalZoom or something like that. You can pay them, and they will do it for you for like 150, 200 bucks. But your LLC, all that great stuff. Let's see. If you're probably going to need or want a computer or an iPad, depending on how you do it. That kind of stuff. Your website, your marketing. You're probably looking at $2,000 or $3,000 to have everything successfully ready to go in that, not counting your regular equipment. Because, like you say, there is a lot of crap that just comes up. How do you deal with overspray near painted surfaces when doing washes? I mean, as long as you're not using a strong chemical, it ain't gonna hurt it. House washing mix, I don't worry about it. Roof cleaning mix, I do worry about it. That's why we have a guy on the ground that's rinsing all the plants on the ground, rinsing the house, rinsing everything, so that way we don't have to worry about screwing something up. Okay, yeah, doing roof washes. The company do not have to hire you without it, yeah. Non-car insurance flyers. What do you use? Nah, somebody just type. Let's see. Do What do you do when the water is off? You call the customer and you tell them that their water is off and you can't do their house. And how far away are they? Or you will come back the next time when their water is turned on. Now, I have went over to the neighbor's house and they had the nasty, dirty side. And I said, ma'am, if you let me use your water, I will clean that side for you. And yes, I lost money, but in the end, I didn't drive. They were about an hour away. I didn't drive that hour there and an hour back. And I made the neighbor happy and I got my money for my house wash. So I have done that before. And that's one thing you can do. Um, do you know Squids in KC? Should I reach out as a new guy? I do not know him. Jason, different question here. How did you grow your YouTube channel? What helped you get views and followers? Recently started mine and want to grow it. So you were talking about YouTube. So if you're wanting to learn about YouTube, I would suggest a couple people to watch on YouTube. I would very highly suggest you to watch, and you can actually listen to him on a podcast. It's called Video Creators. Tim Schmoyer is a great one, and Daryl Eves is a great one. There's a bunch of them out there. Owen Video, and learn from these guys. That's how I learned. But how I really grew my YouTube channel, and this is, YouTube channel, this can really help your business out, even being a local business. This is something that you can do to help your local business out, because you can put links back to your website and the whole 9 yards. But what really helped me set me up this past year was how I went from about 2,000 to almost, I think I'm at almost 12,000 subscribers, is I went 3 videos a week. And I did that all the way from January till about September. And then I kind of got burned out a little bit, and I did it here and there. And now I'm doing lives, and I'm doing lives every week. And you can do videos on anything, and here's the thing, people be like, why do you do videos on pressure washing? When even I have my own business, why do I do videos on pressure washing? What do pressure washers do when they get on a website? They go check out that website and they check out every page of my website. They want to see what my website looks like. Well, guess what? They're on my site for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and Google's like, man, they must know something because they're on his website forever. So that's one reason why. Or you can do like how to do stuff, how to clean different things, and that way people will want to come and see. Um, all right. Aim high pressure washing, quality content, and grow over time. All your time. What's the best way to remove oil stains on concrete? Oh, here's the other thing about that on on the video side of things too. If you're a great storyteller, it's really about storytelling. The better you can tell stories, the better off you are. And you got to remember, not if you're a good storyteller and people want to come and listen to you, that's what it is. And you can do clickbait stuff. And I mean, I see clickbait of people doing all the time. When I've seen some people in the YouTube side that have grown their channel just this year over to 20,000 subscribers. And you know how he did it? Through clickbait stuff of, I made $600. How to make $600 pressure washing. How to do that. Guess what? When I did my $100,000 one, it was a clickbait one. You know why I know? Because that video's gotten a ton of views and stuff. How to get oil out of concrete. If you don't have hot water, if you have hot water will help. Chemicals help. Here's the deal with oil. If it's really like, if it's not hydraulic oil or if it's like motor oil and it's real dark and dirty, it's hard to get oil out of it altogether. You can pull a lot of it up, but concrete's like a sponge, and that oil's going to go down in there. So we can never really get rid of all the stain of oil. It's always going to go down in that concrete. So we can use really good chemicals, and we're going to use a degreaser, which is a base, which is up on the 14 side, the 13, 14 scale size, so a really good degreaser. And that degreaser will help pull that oil up out of there too. Heat will also help pull that oil up too. All right. Currently, Wolfman puts currently using Square for most payment transaction and invoicing. It works well, but curious what you use. Square is always have a backup, but Square was the best one that I always like, or Stripe. Stripe, and I've used Square and Stripe. Stripe is my favorite one. Square does good too. PayPal, I'll have it as a backup. They can hold your money. They get this great idea that you made too much money and they'll hold it for 30 days. So I didn't really care for that. So, Stripe, I use Stripe, and I also use Square. I do like Stripe the better out of the two, but both of them, as long as they're working, it is what it is. I am in the market for a metal skid for the back of my pickup. I have everything else, just need the skid itself. What's a decent price for a skid? Whatever help you provide will be appreciated. To be honest, I don't know what a good price is on it. You might go to a local fabricator or a local welder and see if they can make you one out of aluminum. Most of them are made out of aluminum, I believe, just for the weight size, and so they don't rust. But I'm going to be honest 100%. I don't know what the cost of them are. But you can probably get, like I said, go to a local fabric shop or a local aluminum guy, maybe put something out in the Facebook groups and see if somebody would maybe weld it up for you. I actually did mine, and I had a pickup, and I did it. I mean, I would rather do a skid in it. That way you can do the reels off the side. So I wouldn't even tell you how I'm going to do it, how I did mine, because it was kind of botched. Brian's message. Donald Pressure. Are usually don't recommend someone going to commercial jobs unless you have at least 100 residential jobs under their belt. Are you don't recommend? I'm not. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't recommend it, because you might find out that you like doing commercial work. To my personal opinion, I don't really like doing commercial work. I don't like doing, um, I don't really like doing a lot of concrete work because concrete work takes time and you hurts my back kind of. You know, I'd much rather do a house wash. House washes is what I like doing. But you might love doing commercial work. So I wouldn't say doing 100 residentials before you go do commercial work. I would see, you know, maybe see, you might like it better than I do. Maybe you find a way to make it more profitable or something like that. Um, let's see. Have you ever had issue with HOAs? Yep. When you do as many as we do, yes, you do have deals with HOAs. You have issues with people that live there. You have issues with all kinds of great things. You know, you didn't clean it good enough because you got 100 residents out there looking at the stupid thing, and you didn't clean it to their satisfaction, or you screwed up something, or you did this, and that's the issue. You're not going to get paid till you get all those issues fixed. I'm not going to cut you a check till all those issues are fixed. So you got to make sure that all those issues are fixed before you get paid. Jeremy, do I need to test the Do I need to test the customer's water flow if I have a 5 gallon per minute and no buffer tank? I mean, turn it on, you're going to know if you got flow or not. If it's just trickling out, then you may not have enough flow. If you got, you know what I mean? That's how I would test it. I wouldn't worry about, you know, because if you're only at 4 gallons a minute, it's not going to hurt your pump that much because it's under pressure and it's not going to hurt it. Alex, what do you recommend to clean cedar roof shakes? There's a couple things you can do. What we did is I actually learned from a company up in Chicago, and this is all they do is roof restore. We would actually use a roof mix on them, and then we would get up and knock off all the mold off of them, or once all the moss was on it, we'd go up and take it, and then we would knock all the moss off. And then we bought this product from them. I believe it's Roof Restore, I think it's called. I wouldn't quote that 100%. It's made by American Grade Roofing or something like that, or Cedars or something like that. And we would spray this stuff on it, and it was like a wax stuff, so in an oil, so it would actually put the wax and oil back on them, and that way they would be good. But it was good money, but it was a lot of work. And I about fell off of a roof from a cedar shake roof because the first time I did it, I put sodium. I tried to clean them like wood with sodium hydroxide, and when you put sodium hydroxide on one of those roofs and you don't have cleats, metal cleats on there, you will slide right straight off of the stupid thing. And luckily, I caught myself, so that's why we went with bleach. Do you make money with any money with YouTube? I do. Thank you for you all for watching my stuff. By you all watching my stuff, I do make money off of YouTube. Depending on the end of the year, I make anywhere from about 500 to $1,000 a month. So it is something, and I thank you for doing that. Third Coast theme. What's up, Jason? How you doing tonight? How do you remove chewing gum stains? Why do I keep hitting that? Chewing gum stains, you're not going to get the chewing gum stain away out of it. You will get the it's been sitting there, whatnot, and it's going to not do it. How to get chewing gum up is another thing. The best way to get chewing gum up is using heat. And if you have a hot water pressure washer, that is the best way to get it up. If you're trying to get gum up with cold water, you can actually go buy the torch. You can heat that gum up and then knock it off. If you use a turbo tip trying to get it up, sometimes you will actually hit the concrete, and that ain't a good thing, or a red tip. And I hate chewing gum. Chewing gum takes you 20 to 30 seconds per piece. Have you ever had a customer open a dispute? How do you handle that? Have you ever had to open a dispute? I don't know what you mean by a dispute. Open a dispute. Yes, we've had customers not be happy and blah, 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 blah. A lot of times you'll be like, here, I'll give you $50 or I'll give you $100 back, or I'll give you all your money back if we killed everything, and hopefully you don't sue us. So, Have you ever experienced a water ban, and if so, any advice? No, I have not. We have not had that happen. Thanks for the information, cousin pressure washer. I'm in Georgia. Heard some horror stories about Square holding money for extended time. Fortunately, we haven't had any issues yet, and that is why we actually went to. That's why we went to Stripe, is because they held our money for Square. A backup, simple but good advice. No call, no callbacks. How do you get HOA accounts and where do you find them at? So one thing you can do is, like where we are, the greater Cincinnati area has a association of property managers. HOA, apartments and property managers, is a great place to start. Get in there when it cost us like $900 to become a member, and once you get a member, they give you this book about this thick, and it's full of contacts. Get in there. You can dump all that information into a CRM or MailChimp, something like that, and then we start emailing them out. How we got commercial work was email. Email was our friend. Also, we did once a year through that association. They do like a reverse date night. And what you do is all the owners of the apartments complexes, like the bigwigs of them, would come sit at the table, and you would get 5 minutes to go sit and talk to them and run your spiel of what you did. And when we did that, there was one apartment association or one apartment, Faith Properties, and we did. Right before we sold it, we did over $120,000 just with that one apartment associate, or with that one apartment place. They own like 30 or 40 across Cincinnati, and we did over $120,000 just in that one company. What is the minimum GPM for your first pressure washer? I wouldn't start no lower than 4 gallon a minute. A 4 gallon a minute will get you going. If you can bump up to a 5.5, is like the pump I show, it's like $1,500-$1,800. It's a great, excellent pump. You can use that pump and make as much money as you'd ever want to make with that pump. How do you start the machine? I don't know what you mean. Pull the string or turn the key. What size hose do you recommend from the buffer tank to an 8 gallon a minute pump? And what size high pressure hose? So Ray, I always ran 1 inch whenever I did 5 or 8 gallon a minute. 1 inch to my pump in hard suction line. You can go a little bit bigger than that, but I never really seen the difference. Now, on your pressure line, you can do 3/8, and then what you can also do is 1/2 inch. What I've seen some people do, and it will actually help you out quite a bit, is run either one section, maybe 100 feet of 1/2 inch, and then drop down to 3/8 for the next 50 to 100 feet. And that way it will cut back on your friction loss in that 1/2 inch hose. And you will actually get quite a bit more flow by just having that one section of 1/2 inch. Now you got to remember, 1/2 inch weighs a ton more than 3/8 does. So that's the only issue you're going to run into is that way. Let's see. Brian Key, shifting gears. Can you talk about the psychology benefits of pressure washing? There's a great feeling that occurs when you watch bleach kill mold, rinse after surface cleaning, etc. You are 100% right. There's an instant gratification of when you're cleaning a house. And you get there and it's just dirty, nasty, it's nasty, and you go there and that customer don't know what it's gonna look like, and you can just spray that on there and you just watch it just melt away like butter. And it is a very cool thing to watch it do. It is probably that's one reason why I like to do that's one reason why I like doing house washing, because you can spray that stuff and it just melts right away. It's very cool. 3 seconds for gum with hot water. Yeah, 3 to 5, 10, something. So it depends on how bad it is, how many you got. What's your favorite one wire pressure wash hose? 3500
Spray SI? And what about the brand of hose reels? Honestly, on the hose, I mean, I never really had any luck. One hose, this is the all to go to best hose out there. They're all hose. They're all probably made pretty much the same. I've bought cheap hoses. I've bought expensive hoses. I've bought one wire. I've bought two wire. And at the end of the day, they're all going to blow. On the hose reels, I would definitely spend the extra money and do aluminum. If you don't do aluminum on the hose reels, and it don't matter which hose reel you're doing, on the hose reel, it really don't matter which ones you're doing, but I would definitely spend aluminum. We bought a bunch of steel ones, and over the time, they've all just about rusted away to nothing. But the aluminum one, it's still going, and it is, no problem at all. Now, switching gears a little bit, I know I've pushed electric reels a lot, but the electric reels, they're going to go bad. The motors are going to go bad. The hand cranks are going to last you longer and not worry about it. But if you're a one-man show, I would maybe think, and you got the extra money. If you don't have the extra money, just do hand cranked aluminum. Market more of your whole fleet of services of focus of specialization. What has given you more success and why? Marketing more of your whole fleet of services or focus on specialization. We kind of specialize more so of, well, I'd say that. I would say that we do more, we do some pressure washing. When I do my AdWords, I am kind of, I do AdWords for all of our services, but I also bring it into just doing one thing and that's it. So like when I'm doing an AdWord for house washing, my ad says house washing, my copy says house washing. When it comes to my landing page, it talks about house washing. So, it's kind of one of those things you can niche down, and if you're a specialty in just cedar roofs, you can do that. I know some people that do that, but we're kind of the whole service of things. Um, let's see. Jason from Third. I told you last week I've been cleaning gas stations for 27 years now. I'm diversifying to residential cleaning. Do you have a number or email I can contact you with about SEO questions? Yes, you can go to pressurewashhelp.com/ask questions or ask Jason is one place is probably the best place, and I'll get back to you. If you just email me, I may not. This is kind of my system that goes into a system that I will get your question answered. Otherwise, it might not do that. Um, Also, if anybody's wanting to learn, you can go to pressurewashhelp.com/training, and there's all kinds of, that's my class that I get put out, and I go over all kinds of stuff. So that is how to do pressure washing, how to do everything. And I will be adding a whole bunch. Been looking at it, and I'm like, I need to do a lot of ads. So the next couple weeks, I will be adding even more to it. Laugh out loud. How do you start your machine? Can you talk about the feeling of making money? So, the feeling of making money. Here's the thing about money, guys. Can you make way more money that you do from a 9 to 5? For a lot of people, absolutely 100%. You can be your own boss. You get all the headaches to being your own boss and the whole 9 yards. I've talked about several people that I know personally that would have, if they would have been a 9 to 5, they would never made as much as they're making right now. I have a buddy that makes 125,000 in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, and he does house washing and Christmas lights. It's him and his wife and one helper, and they kill it. But again, money ain't everything. Money don't make you happy. You know, you know, if you got to be happy with where you are. So when I say that, it is money makes things happen, but don't think that. Here's the thing: pressure washing. You can go out there and make $100,000 doing pressure washing and do, and not kill yourself. You really can. There is great money in pressure washing. Does it take some work and does it take some, sweat and, some, yes, it does. I'm not going to say that you can't do it without doing nothing, because if you do nothing, you get nothing. So you do have to put some work in it. You have to answer your phone. You have to, you have to spend a little money to make money. So you got to spend money, the whole 9 yards. Um, let's see. You guys are asking lots of questions. Just did a house and gutter today, and the customer was so amazed with the algae just melting away like butter. Gives you a bit of pride. It does. I love it. Can you talk about water reclaim? That's a whole system in itself. As long as you're not putting chemicals down the drain, you're fine. You may, even if you need to put it in the landscape, you can do that too. Google Eyes, what would you say you should make monthly during residential homes? Have a decent power washer and attachments, just no water tank, and does pool shock work good for everything in driveways? Pool shock does work good for everything. That is the magic love. It used to be called love on the boards. Um, you can, during residential houses, as long as you have the right setup, and even if you don't have a buffer tank, but if you have some hoses, you can do 2 to 3 house. If you can get 3 house washes done a day, if you can get your if you can get your call up to $400 a day, 3 houses, that's $1,200. That's pretty good money. Can you tell us more about your plan on your website for the courses? How can it help me? So, in 2020, my goal is to make a place where people can have all the information you need to make money. I'm going to put out, where how, I got courses in there already about Google My Business, how to do Google My Business, how to set it up, how to keep it moving, all that kind of stuff. I got some of it recorded for Google AdWords. I go through all my Google AdWords stuff. I'm actually putting my Google AdWords negative keyword list in there. So I used to sell that as separate. That's going to be part of it. My goal is to be able to teach you everything you need to do. Now, my goal, so that's going to be my bottom plan. My next plan is $99 as of right now, and that is basically you can get on Voxer, which is an app, and give me questions, and I will help you walk you through. I'm going to change it a little bit coming up in 2020. It's going to go up because I'm going to do it more of a mentorship type thing, I believe. Yes, you're going to be able to, I will be able to help you get through, but I'm going to be able to give you things and do things to help you move your business. And I'm going to limit that to certain spots so that way I can really help these guys grow their business. That way I can come in there and say, hey, this week, what are you working on? What's your plan this week? A lot of people don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, how are you going to be successful? You kind of got to have a goal so you can shoot for that goal to know that goal that you're hitting. If you're just starting out and you want to hit $5,000 a month, all right, I'll sit down with you. How are we going to hit $5,000? How are you going to hit $5,000 a month? Are you just going to assume it's just going to come? Because it's not going to come. I'll just tell you that. It will not come. You got to do things to be able to get you up and going. So go check it out, pressurewashhelp.com/training. And then in the early spring, I will be doing a class where you can come here and learn how to pressure wash. What should you take monthly doing residential homes? Okay. I love turbo tips. Turbo tips are nice, but just be careful with them. They are very powerful. You can hurt yourself. What about wintertime? Well, right now my course offers Christmas lights, and that's what we do for wintertime is Christmas lights. Christmas Lights is a great business. Pressure Wash Cincinnati this year is going to do over $500,000. $500,000 in Christmas lights. That is crazy. Last year we did 260, and this year they're going to do over $500,000 in Christmas lights. That's a great way to make money in the wintertime. I told you I like turbo tips, Jason. Once you get going, can you easily make $5,000 a month? And that's chump change compared to a lot of guys who's been doing it for years. Yes, you can make $5,000 a month. Here's the deal, though, guys. Just think of it this way: 5,000, $10,000 a month. You can make $100,000 a year. It's not that hard. It's, $10,000 is $2,500 a week. $2,500 a week. Just say if we can get 5 jobs at $500, 5 jobs at $500, $2,500 a week, there's $10,000. And here's the thing: I remember when I hit our first $10,000 month, I was so excited. And then, when we sold it, we were hitting $100,000. Now, do you make a lot more by doing it? No, you don't. In the end, unless you're planning on selling it, you're better off staying small a lot of times, or, a couple guys. Let's see. Rick, once you get, thank you so much. Talk about how it feels to get misted by water. If it's 95 degrees, it actually feels really good. When you get misted by bleach, it doesn't really feel so good. And then it smells like, when you take a shower, it smells like you've been in the pool all day. Last week, we made $6,200 and worked 4 days, about 30 hours, me and one helper. Michael, that's what I'm talking about. You did it in 1 week, $6,200. So, if you can make, it's not that hard. It really is not, man. It's all about learning how to bid and learning how to be able to go out and get work, and learning that you are not the person that's paying the bill. I would never pay $300 for a house wash. Well, you know what? You're not our customer. What PPE do you require your guys to wear? We make them wear clothes, polyester, so they don't look bleached. We try to make them wear gloves. Some of them wear them, some of them don't. Eye protection is a good thing to wear, especially, as long as they're sunglasses or something along those lines. I have a 3-gallon X-Jet. My solution hooked my machine straight to the house and been doing it for 3 months. I'm averaging $1,200 a week. That's what I mean, guys. $1,200 a week. That's awesome. You're not going to make that on your 9-to-5 job. A lot of people aren't. So, that's awesome, because here's the thing: you're not going to have that much in chemical and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Building Washington, North Carolina. What's up? Thank you. Planning on upgrading because we will be more convenient, but it can be done without a really large investment. Plan on upgrading because it will be more convenient. Yes, you can. We make $1,200 a day. There you go. $6,000 a week. $6,000 a week. $4,000 a month. I mean, you can do it. Our trucks, we run 4 trucks, and we try to get $1,500 a day per truck. When I had the business, I was at $1,200. I could be profitable at $1,200 a day per truck. Now, we only ran one guy. Now since I sold, they're actually running 2 guys, and so that's kind of why they had to get up to $1,500 a truck. But $1,200 a day per truck, $1,500 a day per truck, you can make that, and that's how you make money. That's how you can grow it, and you can see what it is. That is amazing money. You're right, Rick. How much do you charge the customer wants you to bring their own water to clean their house? Well, we only have one truck that we can bring that water, and we may not want to do their house at that point. you're going to charge a lot because you can only carry, whether you got a 250-gallon tank or a 500-gallon tank, you can only carry so much water, and it's probably not going to be enough to do it the first time. So either that or you're going to be really skimpy and try to get it done fast. Yes, ever, it will be uploaded. It will take a little bit of time, but it will be ready to play once it's over. All right, guys, so I've been at this for an hour. I didn't know if I was going to make the whole thing being at the firehouse and everything. Again, thank you for watching. Hey, have a great Christmas is coming up, and be thankful of what, this is a great time of year to do that. I know there's a lot of stresses that go along this time of year, everybody worrying about buying stuff and that. And giving is a great thing. The more you give, the more it helps you out, and the more it will. Giving is a great thing. Honestly, it is. So go out and do something nice for other people. Hit the like button up top to help this video get a little bit more likes and stuff. I'd appreciate that. Again, Merry Christmas to everybody. If you want to learn pressure washing, this is really a great time to get in my course, pressurewashhelp.com/training. Get in there before, 2020, make a difference, plan on making a difference. You got to have a plan, you got to have a goal. If you don't have plans and goals, you're not going to get anywhere. So really, I want you to be successful. I want everybody out there to be successful. Christmas is a great time to sit around and be thankful and be blessed of how, that all your family is there. I lost my dad about 8 years ago, and I still miss him all the time for Christmas. He was a lot of fun to be around, and he had a heart attack, and he went on. So you got to be thankful, be around the people. I know sometimes this is a tough time of season. If you got people that you really don't care about, you got to go see them too. But be thankful for it, guys. Be appreciative. Go out there, and if you got kids, they love the Christmas lights. I actually did out here at the firehouse, I put a bunch of Christmas lights up on the firehouse. I built a big mega tree, and the kids love to go out. I always take my kids to a couple of the different big Christmas displays. That's a great time to be with your family and be thankful for your family. And I want you to be able to yes, God bless you too, Ever. I agree 100%. This is a great time. This type of year is awesome. I know it can be very stressful, and don't get me wrong, it can be very stressful, but don't let it get you stressed out, guys. So go check out pressurewashhelp.com/training. Go help. If you have a question, go check out pressurewashhelp.com/askjason. If you'd like to sign up for, get a notice when I go live, go check up to pressurewashhelp.com/sign up, and that will also get you some of my deals that are going on and that kind of thing, and different tips of the days and that. Also, if you would like to get YouTube, you can go to YouTube and hit subscribe, and then hit the little gear and keep you up to date whenever I go live. I am going to go live every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. So you can come here Eastern time and check me out every 9 o'clock. Like I say, when I'm at the firehouse, I may be short, but if I'm here, I'm going to try to do it while I'm here. So that way I keep myself every Friday night. I will start uploading more videos, so check those out. So if you have questions about different things, go ask at pressurewashhelp.com/askjason, and it might be a YouTube video that I'm going to probably set up so that way I can get you that answer back. Please like this video and have a great week. Thanks, guys.